right?
Oh yeah, no, that's I didn't like that too much because I do that a lot.
I don't understand what the basis of that is, and if they would,
Can you explain it?
Okay, so it's pretty much what happens is
you go for a single leg.
If you go for a single leg on me, I pop the head out, it automatically the match stops, and it becomes what and where I try to do something, or if I get the belt and I try to come back on it or something, or do like a switch or something, which in wrestling would be a
grab,
switch.
Right?
I don't think you can grab the belt or something like that, and then you can go down or something like that, and then.
So if you do a single with your head on the outside.
The thing is, of course, you're never gonna do a single with the head on the outside as far as wrestling goes.
Yeah.
But it's a common defense. A defense is just I pop the head out and I go for a switch, right? But me going for a switch would actually mean counter. I have to sit back down, right? Pop the elbow, loosen that leg. Go. But the thing is that tripod position for the opponents, right? As soon as I go like this, his arm's trapped. So what's he gonna do? Head first.
Oh, so they're worried about next.
So they're worrying about next. It's been happening in wrestling for years.
Yeah.
That's normal. I mean, for us, that's normal. You don't keep your head on the outside.
Right.
So that either comes to, I don't see what the point of that is. You're just pretty much you're. It's kind of me like being like judo.
It's like babysitting. They babysitting the athletes. They want to avoid.
It's like what happened in judo is they started taking off because the wrestlers started coming in. They started taking off the oh no, now you can't touch the legs. Now there's no really double legs. Everything has to be throwing. It just starts. You start limiting things, and then you're just gonna get.
And soon we're gonna be fighting like.
Yeah. Who's a better thumb wrestler?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I got you with a guillotine. No, very choking.
But
well, we know we could be the whole day talking about the words, but. Let's keep going. We're talking about the words. We're talking about what competition and competition. What is very important in competition? Preparation. Diet. That's exactly. I think diet is another factor. It's really important. This past weekend, Joe Rogan wrote. I saw an article. He was talking about dieting in the UFC with UFC fighters, weight cutting. And it's the same thing applied to the jiu-jitsu in the top level. There's a lot of guys that cut a lot of weight to compete, or of course the right way, which is dieting properly and getting to a diet weeks before, so you get to the weight that you want to compete. So what do you guys take on preparing for competition, dieting, weight cutting, and all of that good stuff? I mean, you probably caught a lot more in wrestling. You both when you wrestled before. How was it?
Well, in wrestling, I would weigh in, a few hours before a tournament, or when I went to States, it was probably like the day before. It wasn't much cutting. I probably cut 4 or 5 pounds max. I think the hardest time I ever had to cut was when I was 9 years old. I had to lose a half a pound. I weighed in. I was a half pound over. They gave me about 30 minutes, and I ran around, sweat, spit, pissed, did everything I could, and lost a half a pound. That was the toughest time I ever had.
I'm getting.
But when you hear about 30 pounds of weight loss, and they're weighing in 24 hours or 30 hours beforehand, and they get back up, and you got a guy who, might have a hard time maintaining their weight, down to what they fight at, so they try to keep it, within 10, 15 pounds naturally, and then there's a guy who can easily lose 30 pounds, so he's walking around 30 pounds heavier, loses all that water weight, comes in, weighs in, magically is whatever weight class he's in, and then on fight day, he looks like a beast. That's not cool. That's not what it should be. I mean, that guy's not the weight class.
You mean cool competition-wise or cool health-wise? Because talking about that, like these same people, or not, I'm not saying the same people, but some of these people that do that, the 30-pound weight clip, next thing you know, what happens? They have to go to the back. They're taking IVs.
Yeah.
That's not a healthy thing. That should not be.
Straight your leg into the knee.
I have not seen that in jiu-jitsu yet.
Health-wise,
I don't know.
I want to answer the health-wise. Health-wise, I don't care what you do to yourself, because you have knowledge. You're an adult at this point, and if you choose to starve yourself and destroy your health in the pursuit of some championship at a weight that you should never be at in the first place, then you deserve whatever you
put in. Have that bling bling, that gold, the world championship gold.
But in terms of competition, I don't think I think what weight you walk around should be within the realm of what weight you fight at.
Yeah.
Or roll at.
From personal experience, I did a lot of the weight cutting.
But how much?
In the off season, I would come in.
All right, off season.
In the off season, all I would do is lift weights, get big, but then I would have to cut like 20, 30 pounds for my weight class.
And then you maintain
but
that
then
for the entire season.
I maintained that because I knew I could not. You can't do that on a weekly, daily basis. You know, so I would maintain. I think I would be around 10 pounds from my weight class on a Monday, but come Thursday and Friday, right before the tournament on Saturday, I would be less than 3 or 4 pounds away from my weight class. Okay. So I know at that point all it means is maybe I have to skip a dinner.
Don't drink a few waters.
Don't drink as much water, you know, and then make sure I go for a run at night.
Yeah, wearing some plastic bags.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you know,
salt baths.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Sauna, you know.
Sure.
But it wouldn't be, first of all, it's only a couple pounds, like a pound or two. You know, it's not this 30-pound huge, gigantic.
But if you could, all right, during your season, if you could balloon up 30 pounds, be comfortable, eat whatever you want, and then, you got a tournament or a match, you know, dual meet, whatever, and you could just drop that 30 pounds real quick, weigh in, and then gain it back, would you take that advantage? I think it's advantage. Would you take that opportunity?
If I could do it and I know nothing's going to happen to me, health-wise,
something's going to happen to you health-wise.
Then no. Then probably not.
But you wouldn't care, in your youth, you wouldn't care, or you would?
Even then, bro, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, the most, I've had big weight cuts. And I mean, but my big weight cuts, the biggest I ever had to do, I think was... a 12-pound weight cut, 24
I got 18.
Before.
Mine was my biggest, 18.
My biggest was probably like 18.
I did 18 for
But the thing is, you know, wrestling and jiu-jitsu is a little different than MMA. You know why? Because in wrestling jiu-jitsu, you're literally weighing in an hour or two before.
Only IBJJF. Only IBJJF. Because a lot of other tournaments don't weigh before. They weigh in the day. And they don't weigh there.
The night before.
The night before.
The only time I've ever weighed in before was for multi-day tournaments.
Oh, and that day?
States, regionals, districts, etc. Like that, I've weighed in before. You know, I remember regionals weighing in the night before when I was like 10 years old. It was the first time I ever weighed in the night before, and I thought it was incredible.
You think it's better the night before or right before the match?
I think right before the match. I remember at 10 years old thinking like, I can gain some weight between now and tomorrow. You know?
And just take the competitive advantage.
I can take the advantage, you know? And
so it's like...
I probably didn't even, you know, give it more thought than just a passing thought. But, you know, the most I ever had to lose was like 4 pounds. And it was like pure water weight, and I gained it right back as soon as I drink it. But it's not a 30-pound weight advantage, you know?
But then we gotta find different ways to do it. That's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get into what? The real way to do it. Like, how can we help people, sharing some knowledge about the diet or competition? I mean, for example, right now I'm cutting differently. Before, I would just like try to do a lot of cardio and work out to burn that with the exercise.
I remember one of your first tournaments that you cut a ridiculous amount. I mean, easily double digits. I mean, so, and then now you are doing it different. Now you're watching your weight. Now you're watching what you eat.
I like a few weeks before, I'm just like starting that diet. I'm totally cutting into all wheat, bread, pasta, sugar, salt, and I'm just having juices in the morning. Juicing a lot of juices to cut that nice and clean. Fish, vegetables. Yeah, when I did the vegetarian diet for a few months, but it's just so hard after, you know, you gotta have that day I drop out of it. You know, I went to Brazil and my family, no, just have some feijoada here, some churrasco, and then it's like, but now I'm like focusing on what? On the diet, on getting the catharsis early on, getting your body into catharsis, and then you're burning fat all day long. Ketosis, I'm sorry. You know, me from Brazil, no very good English. So you gotta get... De nada. Saúde. But, so, I'm doing that, like I'm avoiding carbs, having a lot of fish, vegetables, juicing. What do you guys think you can do also to help people diet and cut it? Like doing a healthier way, of course. You know, Epsom salt bath, going to the sun a little bit, running and so on.
Okay, but see, all that is you're cutting weight. sauna, Epsom salt bath, sauna, jacuzzi. That's
but
all
you help me to the final goal.
Now I would say one of the best things I learned in school, and this is after high school. I mean, I was until then I was literally doing these balloon diets or whatever you want to call them. And then once I got to college, I had one coach that literally had just stopped all that. He made us do, I think it was a 5-3-1, you know, so you're 5% on Monday, 3% on Wednesday, 1% before the match. So worst case scenario, all you really need to do is a good run, and maybe skip a dinner, and you're set. You're done.
Spit a little bit.
Yeah, and that's it. But it was probably the best time where I had my weight controlled. Where I think I wrestled 184 or 197, but I was walking around at like 185, 186 on Monday.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know what it is to be able to eat. I mean, I'm sure you would understand this. How lucky you are when you're the day before the tournament and you could actually eat a nice. I mean, not of course not anything big, but
but
a nice,
stressing.
a nice, piece of steak and some vegetables.
Absolutely.
And drink some water. That's awesome. I mean, if you're able to do that in wrestling, that's awesome.
But that's the genetics too. The genetics help you. So people who can't have like meat and be able to lose weight because the meat stays longer in your body. Red meat.
Yeah,
do you still do it? Do you still have red meat for competition?
No,
right
I
now?
don't anymore.
No,
I'm a little more
I
knowledgeable.
don't
I'm a little more knowledgeable. Plus, I'm older, so my metabolism isn't as fast.
So when you get older, I think sort of the key to maintain is your stress levels. If you can keep your stress levels low, it's easier to maintain your weight or to lower your weight if you want to.
Do yoga before competition.
Yeah, yoga before competition. Whatever it is that reduces your stress
whatever helps you be center, of course. Being calm, being chill.
Oriental
Okay,
massage.
but you know what? Okay, I think the weight is fine, and I mean that's a huge issue, and you know trying to do it good as well and whatever. But you just said like it's not so much. Fine, you might come in there an extra 10 pounds heavier than your opponent. But it's not so, the weights. I mean, jiu-jitsu it's a small man sport, right? So it's knowledge is what counts. I mean, if you're able to, you know, if you have more skill,
that's the
than
other side of the argument.
It's not the strength; it's how you use it.
That's the other side of the argument. So, jiu-jitsu is the small man. Yeah,
it should be.
Art. All right,
it's gentle art. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I can beat you, right?
I mean, in theory.
In theory speaking, yeah, anybody can have an advantage over anybody given their amount, the ability and technique. In sport, though, would you say it's a little bit different? You know, when you're practicing for sport specifically,
a little bit different.
You know, people play the game a lot differently.
That's the thing. When the Gracies were spreading out jiu-jitsu, and even up to date, they still talk about it. It's about more than winning. More than beating the opponent, it's about talking a lot about surviving. So when you're in an actual fight in the street out there and you have no time limit and you can like use your skills in jiu-jitsu to survive against a bigger opponent. The guy's bigger, you want to just waiting the guy get tired and then you get the opportunity. Instead of just from the start, the guy's big, it's like, when he's jiu-jitsu, time out and then you get caught or you like, but being patient, waiting, surviving until finally you get to that. That's how I think that the small man jiu-jitsu mentality can work. But we're jumping out of the dieting.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to diet next week, but keeping on where we are, what we have next. We have overall knowledge versus few techniques. A guy that is overall good in everywhere. He's good at takedowns. He's good at
Jack of all trades, master.
He's good at sweeps. Well, if you want to be a complete jiu-jitsu black belt, you know, you want your black belt, you should be able to
master everything. Yeah.
No, yes, you should at least to have a good concept of every single area. You should have a bunch of sweeps, a bunch of submissions from the top fighting position, chokes, takedowns. I mean, that's in theory it should be. But I see a lot of black belts even in the higher level right now that are focusing very few techniques. They win tournaments, a bunch of tournaments, but they do very few techniques.